Welcome back. Jiu-Jitsu 2000 here today. I'm back with an interesting video for you. Today I'm going to share a simple process in how to make ranger beads or pace count beads. Now for this video, for this process, you're going to need roughly 24 inches of type 3 550 cord. Now this is a commercial grade cord. It doesn't really matter too much. And you're also going to need 13 small beads. These are just plastic craft beads that you can find like at Walmart or whatever. So you need 13 of those and 2 feet of cordage. Now first thing I want to do in making these ranger beads is I want to come to the cordage here and I want to pull the inner fibers out. So I'm just getting a hold of them and pulling them all the way out of the whole length of the cordage. Something like this. Whoops, sorry about that. So now I have 24 inches of 550 cord sheath, if you will. So I'm going to take these inner strands, I'm going to take one of them, I'm going to separate it from the rest of them. So I'm going to separate all these 6 other strands. I'm going to just set them in the back. I'm not going to need them, but I do need this one. From here I'm going to take the end of the piece here and I'm going to measure. I'm going to make the ends even right here, and I'm going to pull this all the way back until I have a bite in the center of the cordage. Now I'm going to thread this through just like this, and I'm going to pull this also until I find the center, just like this. At this point I'm going to take all 13 beads and I'm just going to drop them in here. Here's number 9. Oops, 11, 12, and 13. Once I have all the beads on the cordage, I'm going to double check one more time, and I'm going to make sure that the bite is in the exact center of this piece. So I'm just going to grab the ends again here. I'm just going to pull this end like this. I'm going to tighten everything up, and then I'm going to walk my hand up to here. From here I'm going to take the beads one at a time and I'm going to pinch this nice and tight so that I can slowly work them on. See that? I'm going to work all of them on here. 2, 3, push them down a little bit. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let me push these down a little bit. Something like that. I still have 4 more to do. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now I have all 13 beads on this cordage. I'm going to take these 9 and I'm just going to pull them down a little bit, somewhere close to the end. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. And I'm going to take these 4, I'm going to pull them down as well. From here I don't need this piece anymore, so I'm going to take this piece off and just set it with those other 6. At this point I'm going to come to the end here and I'm going to find out how big of a loop I want. And what I mean by this loop, this bite, is it's just going to be big enough to maybe put a carabiner into it or something like that, so it doesn't have to be crazy. And from here I'm going to just make a simple overhand knot, just like this. So I have an overhand knot on a bite, just like that. And I'm going to push these 4 range beads up to that knot. Okay, I'm going to pull these 9 down a little bit more. From here I'm going to set this down and I'm going to give it a 3-finger distance. 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to bite right here. The reason I want to measure that is because that's the distance that I want. I want a 3-finger gap, and I'm going to make a second overhand knot right here. And this second knot is going to be a little bit loose for now, because I want to make sure once again that I have a good 3-finger gap. So I'm going to move the knot accordingly. I want it real close to being 3 fingers away. Once I get it where I believe it's close enough, then I tighten this knot. From here I'm going to do the same thing with these beads. I'm going to put these beads up to the top by the knot, just like I did before. See, remember I put those 4 up high. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Make sure you have all 9 of them. And from here again I'm going to come down and I'm going to measure 3 fingers from the bottom bead. 1, 2, 3, somewhere around here. Okay. From here I'm going to make a simple overhand knot once again. And this will terminate my ranger beads. Something like that. So let's check. That's a little bit short actually. That's about 2 fingers. Let me see if I can get a little more out of it. It doesn't have to be too crazy. That's pretty close. It's close enough for me. You can see 1, 2. It's a tight 3 fingers, but the point is, if you want to make it a little closer, like if you want these 2 distances to be the same, this distance right here between the bottom bead and this knot needs to be the same between the bottom bead and this knot, for the most part. So there I have my set of pace counting beads. So now you're probably wondering, how do you use these? Well, what you need to do is you need to go find out your pace count. Your pace count for 100 meters. So go to your local football field, or what I like to use, not the football field because that's measured in yardage. I like to go to the track because the track has 100 meters. It has 100 meter lines on the track. And so you start from one end of the 100 meters and you walk with your feet and you count those steps. For me, my pace count for 100 meters is around 66 steps, and that's actually pretty common for most people. So once you realize what your pace count is, then you can start to use these beads. So how do you use them? You want to walk out in the woods or wherever. Now if you're walking in a real heavily undulated territory, like in the woods, your pace count's going to be a little different than it would be on flat ground. So you might need to have a second pace count for undulating territory. But in my case, I don't really do that. I just use my normal pace count no matter where I go, up, down. It doesn't really matter to me, because this is just a rough idea of how far you're traveling. So here's how you use them. You take off for a walk wherever you are, and when you get to your 66th step, you pull one of these beads down. And then you keep walking. When you get to the second 66th step, you pull these down. So you know, if you stop right there, you know that you went 200 meters, roughly. And then you keep walking, 66 more steps, 66 more steps, 400 meters. Keep going, 500, 600, 700, 800 meters, roughly, right? Each one of these represents 66 steps. Now you get to here, you've just walked 900 meters. Now when you keep walking from this point, you go another 66 steps, you pull this one down. What does that tell you? That tells you you've went 1 kilometer. You went 1,000 meters right here. Now you have the option at this point to count back up as you go. There's 1,100, 1,200, 1,300. You can count like that, counting back up, or you can shift the beads all the way, all 9 of them back up, and count down again. So you got 1,000 right there. So you can go 1,100, 1,200, 1,300, 1,400, 1,500, 16, 17, 1,800, 1,900, 2,000 meters. Okay? And you can shove them all back up. That's what most people do. 2,100, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 2,900, 3,000 meters. Now, when you're talking to somebody in reference to how far you need to go to get from point A to point B, you can tell them it's 2 clicks. So when you tell them it's 2 clicks, you're basically telling them it's 2 clicks, 2,000 meters roughly. Okay? So this is a brief description of how I use my pace count beads and how I make them. They work pretty good, and they give you a good rough idea of how far you're going. I think I'm going to try to loosen this knot just a little bit and make this distance a little bit closer, but you still get the point. These work really good. Very easy to make. These beads, when you make these pace count beads, you want to make sure that your beads aren't easily falling on their own. You want them tight enough so that you actually have to physically move them down. So again, folks, that's how I make my Ranger beads. Some people call them pace count beads. I hope you got some good useful information out of this video. Please feel free to leave comments down below. Please feel free to like the video, share the video, and if you like the content that you see on my channel, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. And until next time, have a beautiful day. Get out there, find your pace count, and make yourself a piece of pace count beads. You can keep them in your pocket. You can carabine them to your pack, and where they're hanging down on your chest or something like that, and you can just use these. It just gives you a good idea, because sometimes you might be out in the woods or wherever you are, and you might see something that distracts you. You might see wildlife or game or something like that. And another good thing about these is, from your camp, you're walking and you're over here, and you know that you've went that far. You've went 400 meters from your camp, and you know that the elk or the deer or whatever, they're 4 little clicks, 400 meters to that wildlife. So pretty cool. Thanks for watching. Have a beautiful day. See you next time. Bye bye now.